What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here with yet another video, and today we have Model Aircraft News Monthly for May of 2021. It's been a little while since we've done one of these videos, mostly because they take quite a bit of effort to make, and, you know, being able to collaborate with the other person I bring on can, you know, be a bit of a challenge. Today we have Aviation 18 on, and I would love to welcome him to the show right now.
How's it going, everybody? I am here.
We are here for the show, and I like bringing on different YouTubers every so often. And Aviation 18 is on today because Red River Aviation is down with the sickness.
Mono, yeah.
Alright, and so we've got a lot to talk about. There's been quite a bit of exciting stuff happening in the model community. And we're going to start with our headline news, which is the shafting of retailers. So this mostly is to do with Gemini Jets. I don't really know this much of being an issue with other model companies, mostly because NG just fixes the issue by just making more models whenever they run out. Hey Gemini Jets, you might want to use that. It works super well. Or other companies just don't have as much demand for the aircraft. But then again, Gemini Jets is also maybe the highest profile name, at least in, you know, commercial diecast model aircraft collecting.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and so the issue has been with Gemini Jets not delivering as many models as have been ordered. Or should I say, a lot fewer than were ordered. And this has happened occasionally before, but it really started to happen like regularly with the December 2020 releases. That was a really good release set. We got the Antonov 124, a little bit disappointing model. The US Air Force C32, really great model. I love that one. Spirit A320, there was an Emirates Cargo 777, Qantas 747, there was a lot of really good stuff. And so a lot of people bought them, and it was released right before Christmas, which obviously a lot of people bought them, you know, to get for Christmas or whatnot. And so there were a lot of orders from retailers. And retailers really got shafted on those for two reasons. One, they would get a lot fewer than they ordered. So when you put in order for a model aircraft, the retailer takes those pre-orders and then they go back to Gemini Jets or whoever the manufacturer is, and they say, alright, right, I have 100 orders for this plane. I'd like to order 100 of them. Or maybe they want to order a few more to have in stock too. And so they order those, and then Gemini Jets comes back and say, alright, we'll give you 10. And then that's where the issue happens, is Gemini Jets does not provide the number required, or the number requested. And so that way, a lot of people get shafted with the orders. And this particularly became an issue with the Delta CRJ900, and again with the American CRJ900, although it seems like some retailers have sort of figured out an out around that, and that is just to sell less of them. And so that's why the American CRJ900 sold out so much quicker than the Delta CRJ900, even though both sold out insanely quickly. I ordered 27 Delta CRJ900s. I'm slightly famous for that now, apparently. But I only got 2 of them, 2 total, and I potentially might be able to get 1 or 2 more with the second batch that's coming in May. For some reason, Gemini Jets thought it was a great idea for the most highly anticipated model of all time to split them between 2 shipments. A great idea right there. That's my example. So I only got 2 of 27. That's not many, and I know lots of people weren't able to even get any at all. So I know there was a retailer, I won't name the name of the retailer, but they ordered, I think it was 300? Yeah, they ordered 300 Delta CR9s, and they got 6 of those 300 ordered. And so that just really isn't going to cut it when you have a ton of orders, and so that's made a lot of people very unhappy. Now, of course, my solution is to just make more of them. I mean, Gemini Jets makes, I'm not going to say the numbers for the Delta CRJ900 publicly, but it was very, very small. Like, very few were ever made for the US market. Most of those went to Delta Airlines for the corporate models. And it's really sort of an issue that I think it's really brought to light that a lot of people realize that Gemini Jets doesn't really make models for them anymore. And I'm sorry, Aviation 18, you can explain a little bit more, like how that works.
Yeah, so this has definitely been going on for a while. Over the last few months, I think it's safe to say that Gemini Jets have been kind of producing, I don't know about the numbers, whether they've been actively producing less or there's just more demand. There definitely is more demand for some of the models coming out now, like the American CRJ 900, the Delta CRJ 900, and others like that. I think the American and Delta, just because they were so hyped for, we've been wanting them for ages. There's so much demand for these models that the amount they're producing just isn't enough to meet that demand. There's another question about whether it's right that they're not producing as many. So there's kind of two arguments, and I feel like the community's been very split on this. There's the argument about demand and actually meeting that demand. This often comes from kind of the model airport creators. You know, for example, if you're making a model airport of Charlotte, Dallas, kind of an American hub, or a Delta hub like Atlanta, you need a lot of these CRJ 900s. I mean, you take a look at, for example, Charlotte at any time of the day, and there's going to be maybe minimum 10, maybe even 20 CRJ 900s at the airport at all times, and we're kind of in this situation where it's even hard to just buy one of them, let alone 10. So it's a bit difficult, but then you've got the other perspective from the almost like the collector's perspective, and that's where, you know, you're almost privileged to get just one of these models. And the kind of the resale value, the kind of the price of that model that you can kind of resell it for is extremely high, and you're kind of retaining the value of these collectible items. They're more a collector's item. And so I feel like the community's been very divided in which is right. Of course, Gemini Jets, they're at the moment, of course, they're prioritizing for the definitely the collector's standpoint. I don't think we can officially release how many they're producing, but it's pretty low. Gemini Jets hasn't always been like this, I feel. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2018. They produced the Southwest Max 8, and that model did so well. The next month, or I think it might have been 2 months later, they re-released the same model. So if Gemini Jets comes out with a thing saying, oh, it's always been like this, that's just lies. They definitely haven't always been like this. They've always they've had a side of them that's been for the model collectors, that collect more than one of these models because they produced more than one release of the Southwest Max 8. But yeah, it's definitely dividing the community, I would have to say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And with the Max 8, I think that was the first one was made November 2017.
Yeah.
And then the second one was early 2018, and I was super happy about that. But I also think that Southwest really wanted to promote the Max 8, so like Gemini Jets, make all the Max 8 you can. And that was also,
I know there were different registrations as well.
Yeah, there were neighboring registrations. I think 8705 and then 8706 sister set. And then there was also that weird time there where they made 3 737 800s and 1 to 200, all heart livery, all standard livery, and they just sort of made them one in 2017, one in 2018. I think the third one was 2019. They just sort of made one a year. And I'd really like to get all 3 of those at some point. But
yeah,
that's a catch for later at some point. But Gemini Jets, I think the reality is that Gemini Jets has become a corporate model company. So they make models now for corporate orders, essentially. So they have licensing deals with Emirates, Delta, American, most of the major brands that you see them make a lot of models of. They have licensing deals with those airlines. It's obviously because they're a U.S. company. They have to follow U.S. law, whereas in China is a little bit different, just a wee bit different. And so that's why NG models can make models that Gemini Jets would never be able to make.
There's a clip that I've sent to Citrus to put in this video. It'll come in here in a minute. It's a clip from Top Gear. Jeremy Clarkson, funnily enough, of course, NG did release the Delta 757 with Jeremy Clarkson's face on it. But this is a clip from Top Gear, and it's talking about the copyright in China. And it basically kind of shows you that in China, Chinese companies don't have to respect the same copyright laws that companies in the US do. Like Gemini Jets, where Gemini Jets are kind of looking for the licensing of different airlines to release them. NG just can release whatever they want, and it's pretty evident with, you know, like some of the airlines, the aircraft that they've released, like the ANA Star Wars 787, an aircraft like that. It just shows that NG don't have to pay as much kind of attention to copyright as companies like Gemini Jets do.
The Chinese are very good at this sort of thing. I'm speaking to you now from behind a pair of fake Ray-Bans, wearing a fake Armani jacket, carrying a fake Louis Vuitton bag, in which we find a fake iPad and a fake iPhone. And if we consult my fake Omega, we see that it's 25 to 3, probably, which means it's time to pop into the fake Starbucks over there for a cup of fake coffee. It seems then that the expression copyright infringement doesn't translate terribly well into Mandarin.
And I'm also going to make some videos on some cease and desist letters that have come out recently, which are allegedly from Gemini Jets in order to prevent companies like NG Models from making Delta Airlines models, Alaska Airlines models. There might be a few others that will come out, but those two have come out recently, and I'm going to do a video on it because I actually have one of the cease and desist letters downloaded on my phone, and I'm going to talk about it and
oh wow,
sort of just kind of discuss everything, all the details that you need to know about what it means. So that's going to be a fun video for maybe next week. Who knows? I'll try. I've been trying to do it soon, and it'll come out eventually. But it's a really interesting legal situation of being the U.S. versus being in China, and how that really changes what you can make. But even still, Gemini Jets, they make models for the corporate. Like, they could make more Delta CRJ 900s, but they choose not to. Or they could do a re-release. Like, they could make like 4 releases of that model this year, and they will all sell out. But then they're not going to. I do think they're going to make a second one. I've said this several times before in my videos. I think we have a second one coming.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a gold mine. Like the American, the Deltas. I feel like part of the reason why Gemini Jets are doing it as well for us collectors is they're keeping us attached. Like, if they just gave us as many Deltas and American that we wanted, you know, we'd kind of lose interest in that aircraft. You know, we wouldn't want that CRJ 900 ever again. But doing this, we still want that aircraft. So it's almost like, I don't know whether they're doing this for this purpose, but it's keeping our kind of attention. It's kind of keeping us wanting more, essentially.
Yeah, and Gemini Jets has always really prioritized wide-body aircraft. I don't think that's something people have realized till recently, but Gemini Jets has really always had a priority on wide-body aircraft. I mean, the very first ever release was 6 Boeing 747s, so, and that really hasn't changed. They keep making the wide bodies. They actually make the most. So, on average, Gemini Jets will make about 3,000 to 5,000 wide-body models. And then they'll make, maybe for narrow bodies, somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000. And then for regional jets, it's usually somewhere around 1,000. So they make the least regional jets in general anyway, which often can be some of the highest demand models here in the US. And so that can cause some issues there as well. So if you have let's say a United CRJ 200, that model is much rarer than, say, a British Airways 747. Because they make a lot more of those, and they make more releases of them as well. But I do like the British Airways 747s. I really want to get the new release too, because I've always wanted 2 of them. Because once when I flew into Chicago O'Hare, I think it was 2010, there were 2 BA 747s parked at the International Terminal. I thought that was so cool. So one of my first priorities when I started collecting was, okay, I'm going to get 2 regular livery British Airways 747s. I have one out of the 2019 one, and I'll be getting the new release at some point here in the near future.
Yeah, my favorite kind of thing about Chicago is later on, once they had the A380, you would see the A380 and the 747 next to each other, and that was beautiful. I
know, one of the few places in the world you can see that.
Apart from Heathrow, of course.
Yeah, pretty cool. So next up we have some molds, and there are 2 molds we want to talk about. The Gemini Jets Delta CRJ 900 issues, and the NG Models TU204. You did an exclusive video with the TU204.
I did.
And I think you and Yesterday's Airlines were the only 2 people to premiere that new mold. And do you want to give your thoughts on the new mold here? And then also we'll have a card up on the top right hand corner. We can go check out his video.
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, it's an absolutely flawless model from NG. NG are amazing with their molds. They don't really mess up with their molds. There are a few little kind of situations where they've messed up, but honestly, compared to other companies, NG do really well. I don't have, I'm European, a lot of people as well watching this are American, so we just typically don't have, as much experience with the Tu-204 as people in China or Russia. It's a very Eastern aircraft, so I don't know as much about the Tu-204 as I would, for example, the 757. But as far as I can tell, it's just really simple. It's a really nice mold. I can't wait to see some of the models NG produce from them.
Yeah, I personally will probably get a Cubana and DHL one. You might wonder why a Cubana, and I'll explain that in the video when I get it. But there, I do actually have a personal attachment, surprisingly, to a Cubana Tu-204.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm personally after the Air Koryo Tu-204. I think that'd be cool.
You go do Pinyon,
oh yeah,
the airport.
It's on its way.
That'll be so fun. So that'll be a really cool aircraft, and soy, it's not going to be super high demand for a lot of collectors here in like North America or even in Europe necessarily. Western Europe anyway, but in Eastern Europe will be very popular, and since there's never really been a good Tu-204 mold out, I think it'll be actually a very popular model. It'll sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add as well is I guess this is a theory, I don't know for sure, I don't really know much on this topic, but I feel like there is a decent market maybe in China for these 1 to 400 models. The trouble is in China, all their social medias are different, they don't have YouTube, they don't have Instagram, so if you think about it, there could be an entire different kind of model airport community on their version of YouTube and Instagram that we just don't know about, that NG are making these models for. So there could be a massive kind of demand for these kind of models in China that we just don't really know about.
I mean, I suspect there is, considering a lot of these models somehow magically sell out.
Indeed, yeah, I reckon there definitely is.
Yeah, censorship.
Yeah.
Gemini Jets has had some issues with the CRJ 900 mold, and of course, we just talked about how highly anticipated these models have been. And of course, to add insult to injury, Gemini Jets decides to screw up the quality control on those highly anticipated CRJ molds. And so there's been two major issues that people have criticized, and really I think that the only two issues of the model, because other than that, they're really nice. Like, I have two of the Deltas, and ironically, I think I'm actually going to be able to get 3 of the Americans. Yes, that's right. The model that I don't need as much, I'm going to get more of. But there's been an issue with them, and I know you've experienced this on your Air Canada CRJ 900. Yeah. And it's where the gears are flipped. They're really kind of facing inward instead of outward as they should be.
Yeah, so the issue is the wheels are attached to the fuselage rather than the wings. So if you know the CRJ 900, you can maybe put up a picture of like the undercarriage of a CRJ 900 now. The wheels, the actual I don't know what the technical terms, the hinges for the undercarriage, you kind of like attach to the wings, and then the wheels fold up into the fuselage. So in Gemini Jets' model, they're flipped, so the hinges of the undercarriage is essentially attached to the fuselage, and then they'd go up into the wings, which is the opposite way around as they are in real life.
And it also means the landing gear directly underneath the fuselage in that configuration as well, because they fold inwards, right? And so what they have them reversed, so the outboard, the fully extended position, is actually underneath the fuselage, and then in that configuration, if Gemini Jets' somehow mysterious world actually walked that way, they would actually fold up into the wings, which wouldn't really work, which is why they don't do it that way.
I don't think there would actually be enough space in the wings for the wheels to fit.
Yeah, just barely, but it wouldn't be enough for fuel or other things like that. And so it's a small issue, just a teeny little one. And then the other issue is that the horizontal stabilizers are pointing up as if there's somehow an MD-80 or something weird like that.
Yeah, So the thing is, if you take them off and then flip them round, they're the right way round, which is the weird thing. So it's like somewhere along the production line, they've just accidentally switched the left and the right wings, which is the weird part.
Did the same thing with the landing gear. It's almost like they did somehow the instructions did not translate over correctly.
Yeah,
or something.
It's like the instructions were upside down or something.
And then Gemini Jets just sees them all like, oh, okay, that's fine. We hope nobody notices. But as I'm sure you've noticed from some of the videos that have done pretty well, including my own, a lot of people have noticed. And so it's been an issue, and this has been a continuing issue. You made your own video called The Downfall of Gemini Jets, which is one of your most popular videos you've made. And the issue is Gemini Jets, they just don't care about QC. Like, they see an issue and they don't bother to fix it. Whereas, like, NG Models, if they have a QC issue, they are actually known to just restart the production, and they'll just actually completely destroy, unfortunately, the models that had the issues. Like, for example, some of the brand new 737s that they've made have actually been delayed because there was QC issues. They destroyed the initial production and they're redoing them. And another cool thing with NG is if there's an issue with the mold, one of the things they do is they only make one of a new mold first, and then they usually wait a little bit so that they can, get feedback and see how the mold is, and they make corrections to them, or maybe midway through production of a mold. Like the 738s, they sort in the landing gear of those, which is really cool.
That's what I was going to say, and there is, like, the difference is NG, there's a difference between saying you're going to listen to criticism and then actually acting upon that, and NG have the proof about acting upon that because, they have over time changed the landing gear on the 738, which is good.
Yeah, and so I definitely have confidence in NG Models with their new molds. If there's an issue, they'll take care of it. So,
indeed.
Good on them. So, that is mold news, and now we have release news, and there are quite a few exciting releases. We talked about the March releases in the last episode, and so Gemini Jets decided, you know what, we haven't had enough hype yet, let's just drop an American CRJ-900 on the entire world, and then also throw in a bunch of cargo aircraft into that release, and a regular livery Emirates A380 and Royal Jordanian and other cool stuff. And so the April releases, at least for me, are a fairly expensive month. I know you didn't buy that many, but there were quite a few good models in there. Obviously headlined by the American CRJ-900 in 1:400 scale. We got the Emirates regular livery A380. That is actually currently the regular livery because they have like the Dubai 2020 Expo sticker on all the aircraft now. Yeah,
I've flown on 3 of the Emirates A380s, and each 3 that I flew on had this livery.
Yeah, so it's a great model if you want to pick it up. They did a bunch of cargo models, both 1/400, 1/200. We got the brand new livery China Airlines Cargo 777F, and then 1/200 we got the China Airlines Cargo 747 freighter with the opening doors, and we got our first 777-200 with opening doors. And I don't know if you saw, but the L1 door opens as well, which I'm really excited to see how they implement that.
Oh wow, is that on 1-400 or 1-200?
1-200 on the Aerologic 777.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. I bought the Southwest Classic 737 in 1-200 with flaps down. I've seen that aircraft 3 times, so I have to get it. And then the Royal Jordanian 787 is something I've been hunting down for a long time because those fly into ORD, and I saw Royal Jordanian A340-200 back in 2010. So I've always wanted a Royal Jordanian wide-body aircraft, so I figured, hey, I'll get 787 whenever someone makes it. Just 5 years later after, I've wanted to do it, Gemini Jets does it, and so it's been a really good release. And what have your thoughts been on this particular release set?
It was an interesting one. For me, I only bought 2 models from this release. I bought one of the American CRJ-900s and one of the Nippon Cargo 747-8s. I don't really have as much interest in the Nippon. I've just got this thing where I'm trying to collect each one of the Interactive Series 747s. So honestly, I was only really interested in the American CRJ 900, but there's some pretty interesting models like the New York Air MD82. That one's a really interesting one, and some really interesting ones as well, like the Royal Jordanian. That one's a pretty good one. I was tempted by that, but I didn't really go for that. But yeah, it's a pretty good release. Got some American models, some classic ones, some cargos, wide bodies, and classics. So yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job with this one. I think a lot of these are going to sell out. If not on pre-order, they'll sell out, pretty quickly. So, good job, Judges.
But then going down to the 1 to 200, this is something I forgot to say earlier. The BA Cityflyer Embraer 170. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with this model. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with releasing this model. They've also announced that they will, in a future release this in 1 to 400 as well. But it seems weird to me that they're releasing this Embraer 170 like a few months after BA Cityflyer retires their last Embraer 170. BA Cityflyer are now an entire E190 fleet. They don't have any 170s anymore. So I have nothing against them releasing this model as long as they release the E190 soon along with this.
But of course, Gemini Jets loves making model aircraft right as they're going to be retired or right after.
They really do.
like I don't know if you remember, but right when the AN-124 was released, soon thereafter they had to ground all the AN-124s because of an issue.
Yeah, that one was less Gemini Jets' fault because they released it and then it came up. But yeah, it's like Gemini Jets has a curse upon these aircraft.
I know. They released Illdor 1 just a couple months after that aircraft is retired.
Yeah.
I still bought it because I want it anyway, and delivery is gonna come back on a Max 7, so it'll be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, good release set overall. I think they're gonna make a lot of money, which is, the goal.
Their goal, yeah.
And then engine models. Engine models apparently really likes money too, and so they had some really cool models. And then we have engine models with their April 2021 releases. Now you might notice if you go onto the website that the Alaska models have been removed, and that is due to a cease and desist letter. Stay tuned to a future video on that and I'll explain how that works. But basically, they have to remove every single listing of Alaska Airlines and basically make it look like they've never sold any ever before. But they did make 2 Alaska B-739s, they sold out. And they've had a couple production issues with those, so they will be delayed a little bit, but they are still coming as far as I can tell. This release set was great. We had some 747 SPs, which are really cool. I'm waiting for a Salabast United 747 SP, and I'll probably get that one.
That would be very cool, yeah.
But the Qantas 747 SPs are great. The Australian Post A321, I'm surprised it's not sold out already, but that might be due to the fact that everybody is making one.
Yeah.
But great release set here for April. I know you really like the Grand Toy 757s.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I got a lot of these releases. Now looking at these, I'm just coming to remember how many of these I got. I got the Southwest, I got both of the DHLs, I got a Qantas 747 SP, and the Lufthansa as well. So I got a lot of these models, and the Alaskas, of course. I got 3 of the Alaskas. But yeah, this is a really, really good release. Almost too good that I almost couldn't afford these. But these are some really, really nice models.
I think you bought more of the NG releases, didn't you? I
did, yeah. I bought 5 of these.
Nice. Which ones did you go for?
So I got 2 of the the new Livery United 737-700s, 1 of the Star Alliance United 737-700s, and then both of the Nike G550s.
Nice. Oh, you did go for them. Yes.
I did, yeah. I felt like I needed to. I love the G550s, so.
Yeah. So I bought all 3. There's actually a third one. So you remember they made a Nike G550 like a year ago? They're doing a reproduction of that one. So I ordered.
Are they?
I ordered that one as well.
I may have to go pick that up.
And then I purchased, let's see, the United 700 new livery and the Star Alliance. I've seen the Star Alliance one at Raleigh Durham in 2016. I'll put up a picture of it right here. The exact same registration too. I believe 13720 is the rig on that one. May was a really good release. I've got some 787s that were cool. None that I really wanted. But maybe the Ethiopian.
What's pretty interesting with that Ethiopian is They did release an Ethiopian 787-9 earlier, different registration now. Each Ethiopian aircraft is named after a city. I got the one that was released, I think, a couple months back. That one was named Beijing. This one's named London. So it's interesting whether they're going to release every Ethiopian 787, or I don't know what their plan is.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
It would be, yeah. Especially if you got an Addis Ababa update. Yeah. That'd be good.
Do you want to get the London one?
I'm tempted by it. Because of course it is London, but we'll have to see. I don't know about it.
Yeah, I believe in this case, this happens to be the release in this one because there's quite a bit of demand. So NG Models, they actually have two solutions for if model sells out quicker than expected. They just make a second production of it, or, as I think will happen in this case, they make a second model.
Yeah,
and they did that.
To be honest, I was just going to say, I do like the way they've done this, because then if you want more than one, you don't have to get two named Beijing. You can actually get two with a different registration, different name. It just makes it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, and they did this with the British Airways 787-10 because they made the ZB one, the second one, recently. And so I sent a message to NG asking why they made another one just a few months after they made the first one. And they got back to me and they're like, well, we made this one because the first one was so popular that we could tell there was demand for another one, so we made another one. And I actually bought that second one because it just so happened that right about the time they made that, they started flying to Atlanta. So I'm like, yes, I need to get this.
Yeah. What kind of confused me about that one is in the images on the website, I don't know if they corrected this later, but the engines were white.
Yeah.
And what confused me about that is ages ago, kind of like 2013, 2012, when BA first got the 787, BA had some promo videos, and the livery was a little bit different in those promo videos because the engines on the BA livery were originally going to be white, and in the NG pictures, they were white. So I was wondering whether this was like a fantasy kind of model with the BA kind of promo when they first thought they were going to paint the BA 787 engines white, but then in the end they painted them blue, which looks so much better in blue. But it was quite interesting to see, but obviously that got changed. They were actually blue. It was just a mistake.
Yeah, and some of the first 787s actually had white engines initially, and then they repainted them. So
yeah,
really cool part of British Airways history for you guys there.
Indeed.
Let's see, next up, we have a couple of exclusive models. And I personally think that these exclusive models really are going to be kind of the future, particularly for collectors, because you can get a model that's going to be extremely rare, because they're only going to make a few of them. And then you can get a model that's in really high demand, something that you really want. And we had two made recently, which is the Southwest 737-700 from Panda Models. This was an exclusive model through the RM model store. And then there was the Southwest 737-700 in the California 1 special livery, another Panda Models aircraft. And this one was sold through Waffle Collectibles. Both these models sold out very quickly. And the Waffle Collectibles one, he didn't list the model. In fact, he kept it a really good secret until they were ready to ship. So I think that was a fairly smart decision on his part, because he was able to get a lot of hype very quickly, and then people were able to get the model quickly. So that was great. With the R model one, his took a bit longer. And in fact, I've known about this model since like September. And yeah, which is before it was even released. But I've known about this model for a long time. And there's a second release that's currently coming in like a couple months, which people could have pre-ordered a couple months ago. But it's really exciting, and I really do think that these exclusive models are the future. I got the Panda Southwest 737-700S, great model. Review coming soon, hopefully, once we actually get a sunny day here. We've had like a week now of consecutively cloudy weather here. Very typical British weather, I know, in the middle of the US.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, it's been pretty good over here, though.
Nice. But I really do like these exclusive models, and I think they're going to be a lot more than coming. I happen to know of some more that Panda is releasing, including some that have not yet been released, which will be very exciting. So what do you think of the exclusive model releases, and did you get any?
Yeah, I didn't get any of these just because these exclusive models, they may be alright for American collectors, but for anybody outside the country, they are a pain because you've got to go through these specific stores. You've got to, you get this massive shipping fee, and then on top of that, that's not even the end of it. Before you get it, like a day before you get it, you'll get a bill for $20 or $30 extra for the import tax as well. So it's kind of a mess for anybody who lives outside the US, so I just didn't get them. And plus, I'm still hoping that either Gemini Jets or NG kind of release these models in the future, which is likely. So yeah, I didn't get them, but overall these models are pretty cool. I did see some unboxings of them and they look really, really good.
Yeah, and this is the third one that we've had recently, because we had the Air India 777-300 first. And that was a cool model. I have that one as well. Great aircraft, and JC Wings did a great job of that. But I think exclusives will become more popular. It wouldn't surprise me if AMS does one, which I'm sure you would be rejoicing about, because then you could actually get it without having to pay $100 for it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, exclusive models, I think that's something that's going to be here to stay for a while. And it's also something that copyright-wise is a lot more difficult for the airlines to chase down. So I think that's definitely going to be something we're going to see for a while. We have the Aviation 400 models. They have two coming. And so if you don't buy Aviation 400 models, or you're not too familiar with them, Aviation 400 makes a lot of aircraft. But they only make them like small batches. So whenever an aircraft comes, they usually do about 2 at a time. And so this time we're getting the Delta A350 and the Vietnam A350. And another thing is, if you make a pre-order with Aviation 400, you need to be patient because you might be waiting a year for them. This is like JC Wayne's wait time. And so it's quite a while before you get them, but when you do get them, it's quite rewarding because not only is the model insanely detailed with like literally 1/200 level features like the duo lights, you get a stand with them, so the stand's not great, but at least you get one. And on some of them, like the A350s, you get a airline matched tug, which is really cool. So I'm looking forward to getting mine. I have a Delta A350 on order. I opted not to get the Vietnam A350, even though I thought about it, but I opted not to. And so this is something really exciting, and also for some reason, I'm not sure why, but Vietnam Airlines models are really popular, I've noticed. Like, they sell out pretty quickly, so I need to do some research as to why that is, but really interesting phenomenon there. And what do you think of the Aviation 400 releases?
Yes, they're really cool. Aviation 400, I know their A350 mold is probably the best. I know the NG one now is pretty good as well. But personally, I didn't get these. I don't really have any interest in either the Delta or the Vietnam A350, but overall, pretty cool.
Yeah, and I know this is going to be a really unpopular hot take, but I actually think the Gemini Jets A350 mold is the best. And I'm going to get some comments about that one.
It's definitely, it's definitely good. I don't think I would label it as the best, but it's definitely good.
Yeah, okay, so here's why I think it's the best. I should probably do a separate video on it, but I'll just make a quick little sort right now. And the reason is the mold is extremely crisp. Like, all the details are actually really fine. Yes, I know, this is things that Gemini Jets doesn't normally do, but in this case they did. All the details in the right place. The nose shape is the best on the Gemini Jets one. It seems like everybody else can't get the shape quite right. And even the NG Models one, I think it's a little bit too steep on the nose front. It almost looks like somebody punched it in the nose and then left that shape the way it is. But the Gemini Jets one's really nice, and they do make a lot through Gemini Jets and JC Wings. So if there's one you're looking for, chances are Gemini Jets has it. Although the NG Models mold is really nice too. I just think it just feels like to me the NG Models A350 mold was rusted a little bit, and so they just didn't put as much attention to it as they would some of their other aircraft.
Yeah, I tell you what, Gemini Jets, one thing that they do really well on the A350 is the landing gear. One of the biggest problems I've had with the A350 molds from Phoenix, NG, is the forward landing gear. That always seems to be way too long. But Gemini Jets have the perfect height for that landing gear.
And I also really like their main gear, over the wings as well. They're the right shape, they tilt, they're the right length as well. They look great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Gemini Jets A350. I got a second one recently. I got an Air France one because they fly into Atlanta now. And I'll need to get the British Airways one because they are starting to fly into Atlanta. At this rate, I'm going to have as many BA aircraft type as you do because they're flying literally everything into Atlanta now.
Yeah.
So, London Heathrow Airport, here we come. But yeah, A350s are great, and Aviation 400 makes some of the best ones. I'm really looking forward to trying out, see what I think of it, and then I can do a great comparison of 3 Delta A350s from the 3 main manufacturers, Gemini Jets, NG Models, and Aviation 400. I can pretty easily get a Gemini Jets Delta A350 on eBay, so I'll probably be doing that here soon. But I'm really excited to make that comparison. And then finally, I know I didn't put this on the outline, but JC Wings released some really cool aircraft. They released about 2 dozen blank models. I don't know if you saw those, but they did blank models in 1400 and 1200. They do this about once every couple years. They just make a release of all blank aircraft of basically every mold they have in 1200 and 1400. And I actually bought a few. I bought 7 of the exact same aircraft type. I bought 7 Gulfstream G650 ERs.
There we go.
So I really would like to make a 1/200 scale GA ramp, and I know someone who can actually make me an FBO building and such. So I'll be making that, and I just want to, park private aircraft. And it seems like it's a segment that's really taken off recently. It's the 1/200 scale general aviation market. It's something that I think it's really always been there. People have always wanted to have private jets and that sort of thing. But now that they are actually starting to be made, it's something that you can actually buy. And so I'm really excited to be one of the first people to do a 1/200 scale private airport. And I'm sure there'll be other people doing it as well. And yeah, I'll be using my airbrush painting skills to paint these aircraft in custom liveries. So I'm really excited about that.
Just private jets are just cool. Like, that's the thing. I do hope, we get more than just Gulfstreams. I'm hoping for, Cessna Citations. I know we got the Falcon X from NG, but let's just keep them rolling, basically. And, I've ordered some as well. I have thought about actually doing a kind of small like a Farnborough or something like that, with a lot of kind of private jets. But we'll have to see how that goes. It's just a really cool kind of thing that started.
We have the military aircraft for it, so you've got like half the airport already.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just get the private aircraft here ready to go. I would love to see more companies make them. I really think that if there was like a model company that just made private jets in 1/200 scale, I think they'd sell a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Hold on, let me write that down as a business idea real quick. But yeah, that'd be super cool, and I'd love to see more private jets, and I'll be buying them for my private airport.
The only downside to private jets, of course, is the licensing with private owners and things like that. But I think, I don't know why. I know that they can't release individual aircraft from private owners, but why don't they just make fictional aircraft, with fictional registrations, fictional liveries? I think that would still, be really cool.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think there could be a company that does actually make actual private aircraft, because I've spoken to a lot of private jet owners, as I often go to a local FBO here at one of the small airports in my area. And I go to take pictures of private jets and private aircraft, and then be the first person to put the registration up on jet photos. And the cool thing about that is, I'll go up to a pilot who maybe just taxied in, and he parked the aircraft and about to head off, and I'm like, hey, can I take a picture of your aircraft? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then they'll I've even had a guy offer to a tour of his aircraft. And so people, I think private owners wouldn't mind if somebody made a model. So you have to do some legal things, but I think it could definitely be possible, and I think it'd be a super popular thing that would sell a lot of models, make a lot of money. So I definitely think there is a market for that kind of a company.
Definitely.
And so that pretty much is it for this episode of Model Aircraft News Monthly. Not really much in the way of community news. It's been really quiet, which, I guess you could kind of say is a good thing, because there's no controversies happening in our community right now. But also, I'm also keeping an eye to watch to see who has the latest milestones. So, you know, if any of you guys have news you want to cover about the model aircraft collecting community or just the aviation community in general, put them down below and we can include that in a future episode. So it has been my pleasure to be the host for your show with guest host Aviation 18, and do you have some closing thoughts for our video today?
Yeah, it's been really good to join you in this Model Aircraft News monthly video. Some really interesting stuff has come up. Just a really bright future, basically. Some really good new molds, all of that. Yeah, it's just a really good kind of look into the future of kind of the industry, I guess you could say. Is it really an industry? I don't really know, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think we're currently at a really good spot in the model aircraft collecting community where we're getting the models we wanted, and we have a large source where we can get models from. We have multiple companies: Gemini Jets, Engine Models, JC Wings, Panda, Phoenix, you name it, the company exists. And the chances are, if there isn't a model that you want right now, let's say you really want a Delta 757-200. There hasn't been one made in a while. You know what? All you have to do is just wait, and eventually that Delta 752 you want will come out. Or you could wait and, you know, look on the eBay used market and wait for a good deal. It's one of the things. I think we're in a really good spot right now. Patience is the name of the game in this hobby. And I really think that we're in a good spot right now, and I'm really looking forward to the future and doing more of these episodes. So,
and as well, I think competition is always key as well. Hopefully, you know, the pressure from NG will kind of boost Gemini Jets to do better, you know, release better molds, all of that. So, you know, I think the competition is rising, which is a good thing for us consumers, but there we go.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and I think we have a bright future for the community ahead. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you to Aviation 18 for joining me for this video. I am your host, Citrus Aviation. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.